living in a state of manipulating or being manipulated is not a healthy relationship. When you don't have somebody's heart, then the next thing that you're going to go after is their mind.
Anytime we would get in a fight or argument, for the first 6 or 7 years of our marriage, whatever I could think of, whatever I could say, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was standing in the kitchen in our little house in Meehan, and he said, I tell you this, I do not want a divorce, and I do love you, but I will not stay with somebody who talks to me the way you talk to me.
In order to fully devote yourself in that aspect to your partner, to your spouse, then you've got to overcome those to where you can fully give yourself to that person.
You can't build a skyscraper on an outhouse foundation. Okay, you can't build something that's really strong and weighty on a faulty foundation. And last episode, we discussed about laying a foundation. I like to call what we're doing here the blueprint series, because when you build something, you use a blueprint. And we are talking about the foundation. We're going to continue talking about the foundation today. But before we get started into that, I would just like to go around the table and let's open up with a question. And so, Wendy, I'm going to start with you.
Yes.
And the same question for everyone here.
Okay.
What is the most treasured aspect of your spouse that you feel is foundational to your marriage?
For me, I will reiterate kind of what I touched on in our last segment is trust. And I know you and I kind of talked just a little bit, and it's not just a blanketed, like I have to throw trust out there. I was kind of damaged. So David showed himself trustworthy. It's not something, you may initially have to throw trust out there, but it is something that's earned between a couple too. He did what he said he was going to do. He was not secretive about things. It was just easy for me to trust him. And all of that made it easier for me to be intimate, to tie intimacy into it. I felt protected. So all of that kind of goes under trustworthiness to me.
Right. So if you took the trust away, that's difficult.
For me, it would have been probably a deal breaker. If I would have met one more person that I could not trust, then it probably would have, even before we were saved, he was still a man of his word. So it made it easy to trust.
Right.
It would have been a deal breaker.
What about you, David? What do you treasure most about Wendy? If you look back over your marriage.
It's a different question.
Totally different.
No, well, it's
Black and white.
the same variation. What is the most treasured aspect of your spouse that you feel is foundational? Now, again, when we talk about the foundation, it's something that you are building upon.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you most treasure?
Still a
about
different
Wendy?
answer.
Yeah, so early on in our marriage.
I'm nervous.
And years into our marriage, I was gone a lot. I worked offshore, and then whenever I didn't work offshore, I found a position at home. I was still gone, like a lot. A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks out of the month sometimes. Knowing that, trust, of course, but knowing that Wendy had everything in control while I was gone. That was, for me, as a man, as a husband, I didn't have to worry about our kids. I didn't have to worry about anything. She took care of the home front while I was gone. And for me, that was foundational. Just knowing, having that peace of mind that I didn't have to worry about it. It was taken care of. So I appreciated that about it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, babe. I'm going to ask you the same question. What is your most treasured aspect of your spouse?
Who is that person? I think there's a thread starting to develop here because where Wendy said trust, I would just use a different word, which is loyalty.
Yeah. which is what David actually has written down over here, loyal. Mm-hmm.
I don't find that to be common
Right.
in people, that loyalty is there, that they have your back, that they stand up for you in rooms you're not in.
Yes.
Right. So, but to take it to the point of marriage and sex life, in my community, it is way more common to have guys wondering what their wife is doing while they're deployed or TDY.
Yeah.
Right. Wondering if they're being faithful to them.
Yeah.
And it was very unusual for me in those circles. People would say, "Minor, you never chime in on these conversations." I'm like, I don't have anything to add to that. And I don't want to make you feel bad, but I know my wife is not messing around. She's not texting another man. She's not spending time with another man. She's certainly not having sex with another man while I'm gone. And I think that we're all kind of weaving the same thread here. But if Amy wasn't loyal, and it wouldn't have to be even a physical act.
Yeah.
But if I knew somebody else had her attention, I couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
Just all the demons I have from how I was raised and childhood growing up and stuff, that would set me off. I could not be in a relationship, a marital relationship with somebody that I didn't think was loyal.
Me and you are kind of in the same place there. When you've been gone for long periods of time, while I was gone for long periods of time, that peace goes so far, not having to worry about what's happening at home.
Absolutely.
A lot of men can't say that. That's I couldn't imagine being in that position because I never had to worry about that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, before I answer, I was seeing how, as men, both of your answers were connecting, because you were saying while you were out of the house and while you were out of the house. Is that a weight that you guys think about mentally?
It's not. That's the whole point.
I don't have that weight.
Oh, okay.
That's not, but we know, and I think you could say
so many men do. Yeah.
Yes, that is more common than uncommon.
Absolutely.
For men to be wondering, being worried about what is going on behind their backs while they're miles away.
Right.
And I have never had that burden. It's never occurred to me for 2 seconds that, should I be worried about what Amy's doing while I'm gone? It's never been there. You've never given me any reason to think that way. And but that is absolutely foundational to, in my opinion, to our marriage and to our sex life.
Absolutely.
That loyalty, that bond, that trust.
Yeah.
You going to ask me my answer?
Well, I figured you'd ask yourself. What is your most treasured aspect of your spouse?
Yes.
Of all of that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I had not to think about it because it was difficult to answer, but I had to think about it in order to verbally express it. And the best way I can do that is probably about maybe 20 years ago, because we've been married for almost 30. About 20 years ago, give or take, I had a very good friend that said to me, Amy, Chad adores you. And when I heard those words, I don't know, it magnified maybe things that I've seen, but just didn't really take the time to see. And I began to realize that I did not have to compete for your heart. No matter on what level, I never, out of all these years of marriage, I've never had to compete for your heart. Whether it be, and it's not that I've demanded that, it's not that I've manipulated that, anything. It's when I became aware, that is really the most precious thing. Now, whether it be with you're talking your time, you know, all men like men things. You know, he's a man. He likes boats and cars and
Jeeps and guns.
Yes, you know, he loves to have all the fun, and I want him to have all that fun. But when it comes down to it, I'm not having to compete with things like that. Friends, or him wanting to always be gone, or his attention is elsewhere. That is my most treasured aspect, other than your salt and pepper hair right now, which is a physical trait. That's not characteristic.
Yeah. David went all salt.
Yeah.
Platinum.
Platinum blonde is what he said.
Yeah, I prefer platinum over gray or white.
Salty.
Yeah, or salty.
Yes. But I appreciate that. And I thank you that you adore me, as my friend said, and that means the world to me. All right, so let's open up the foundation aspect. David said something last episode that really stuck with me. And Dave, you said, you know, when it comes to building something, the foundation takes twice as long.
At least.
Okay. And then you said, you know, correct me if I misquote you, but just about once you get the foundation laid, everything seems to go up pretty quickly afterwards. And so we want to give time and attention to the foundation, maybe go a little bit deeper in this episode. But I wanted to say it kind of just in a little bit different way. I'm taking an online course, and I have heard this phrase over and over because they're helping us build something in this course per se. But it says you can't build a skyscraper on an outhouse foundation. Okay, you can't build something that's really strong and weighty on a faulty foundation. And we've discussed this last episode, Psalm 127:1. If God doesn't build the house, the builders only build shacks. And we have to look at what that means to build with him. Otherwise, we're going to build a shack, or we're going to have an outhouse foundation. And so what qualities do you think would be considered an outhouse foundation? Like, I would like for you to maybe list some traits that could not bear the weight of a healthy marriage or a great sex life. I'll list a few. Selfishness.
That was my first.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, you go,
that
Wendy.
was what I just wrote.
What comes to mind that would really be considered kind of like an outhouse foundation, something that won't withstand a good marriage and sex life? What are some traits that come to mind? And I'm not talking about physical traits. I'm talking about character traits.
Yes.
What comes to your mind, guys? I'll just open it up the table here.
I'm trying to think past selfishness.
Yeah.
I mean, because
I think that encompasses
so much.
Yeah,
if
covers
you
a lot
look
of ground.
at, you know, issues that people have in their marriages, I don't know how else to trace it back to anything besides selfishness. When it becomes about you and not about your spouse.
Right.
Well, what's the scripture? It says you quarrel among yourselves because of your own selfish desires. You know, most quarrels are, well, I want the toothpaste cap this way. I want this way. I want, you know, that's where all the quarrels come from. Anytime he and I have quarreled, it's been mostly because my way is better, kind of.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's true.
So true, Wendy.
Yes.
Here's a few that I just put down. What about jealousy? Jealousy,
unhealthy.
Yeah, unhealthy.
Yes,
and unhealthy. Lying.
Yes.
You know, lying is a character trait that if I found myself with someone that was always lying, I don't think I could build much upon that.
No.
If you just kind of go to 1 Corinthians 13, the chapter of love, and just look at the opposite of what's listed there. How about offensive words? You know, what comes out of your mouth that's offensive, or maybe cutting down, not speaking life, but negativity.
Can I speak to that?
Sure. Yes.
Just a short little story. David and I'm very wordy. I know it's hard to believe, very wordy, but I also came from a family, very quick-tempered people, very quick-tempered person. And the person who could get the ugliest, most cutting word in first won the argument. David is polar opposite. His words are very weighty to him. He and I have had this discussion. His words are very weighty to him. He is not quick to anger. And once again, what he said, he meant. Anytime we would get in a fight or argument, for the first 6 or 7 years of our marriage, whatever I could think of, whatever I could say, would come out. We had been in a huge argument, and he left to go to work, and he came back home, and I'm the queen of, this is going to sit here for 3 or 4 days. You know, there's no saying we're sorry before we go to bed. You know, I'm going to let it marinate. I was the queen of that.
Queen. My queen.
Let that outhouse stew.
Yes. Yeah. And so he came home, and y'all, I've been a Christian for 5 or 6 years. And while the Lord was working, there's still tons he had to work out in me. And he came home one day. Amen. He came home, and I started again. And he said, I will tell you this. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was standing in the kitchen in our little house in Meehan. And he said, I tell you this, I do not want a divorce. And I do love you, but I will not stay with somebody who talks to me the way you talk to me. He said, I will not and cannot do it for the rest of my life. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was thinking, Lord, what do you do? You know, like there is no excuse for that. And so often we use our trauma, and it is harder to get through. I'm not saying it's not. It is harder to work through things. But so often we use our trauma, or what we consider trauma, to dictate how we treat other people, when you have got to make a stance for how you treat people. That has to come from you. And I had to figure out a way to try to start channeling that. And it didn't happen overnight. And I still can be, David tells me all the time, I still can, but I try to catch myself quicker. I try to do better. But to speak to the harsh words, and you cannot take those back. And it does insurmountable damage. Early on. Ain't no recall. Exactly. It does insurmountable danger early on.
I'm so glad you told that story, because I think a lot of people can relate
they
to
don't
that.
think it's, you know, they think I'm not hitting, I'm not, you know, any of that kind of stuff. But words, you will be held accountable for the words you speak. One day.
And I appreciate, David, looking at that story as a husband of your home, that you lovingly went to her. You were bold, at the same time loving, and you just said, look, I love you, but I need this to change.
It wasn't quite that nice.
And I had my own set of problems too. But I do remember that conversation. I did. When that's a true conversation that we had. And every now and then, if that tries to rise back up in her, I'll just remind her. I'll say, hey, you remember what I told you 30 years ago?
It's still true.
Yeah, you better watch it.
You got your hand a little close to my face just then.
You know, I don't know if you intended to bring this in, but I wrote something down while you were telling that story, which was, I can't, already forgetting how exactly you said it, but bringing in past hurts and traumas and experiences. David, I don't know, I'm not a builder, but I can't imagine if you decided to build a foundation for the home we're sitting in, and you said, hey, look at all these old chunks of concrete that I've been hanging on to for a while. I think I'm going to bring those in and throw that in. It'll lesser my expenses on this concrete pour or whatever. Right? That don't work, does it?
Right.
Can you bring in old chunks of concrete?
Yeah, you don't need to be throwing
put it into your foundation
pieces or filler into your foundation. It needs to be the correct materials, so to speak. So,
and
absolutely.
I think, while we're talking foundations, this wasn't an intended maybe piece of the conversation, but if we're going to be successful in our marriages, both parties have to say whether it's passed from how I was raised as a child or passed from a previous marriage. I mean, there's a really good chance that we're going to have viewers that have been previously married and are trying to start again after being divorced, and they carry a lot of trauma from their previous marriages. You can't carry that stuff into your new foundation and expect for that foundation to set properly and support the future relationship.
Absolutely.
I've got plenty of things that, in my past that when Amy and I first started dating, one of those things is, and this doesn't have a direct tie to our sex life necessarily, although I think if I would have been heavy-handed with our kids, it might have impacted my sex life.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I vowed from the day that she was pregnant, I would never lay a hand on my children in anger.
Yeah.
Right? That's a previous trauma that I could have carried into the relationship and said, well, this is where I'm from. This is how we did things.
Yeah.
And would have certainly led to ultimate disaster in our marriage and our sex life if I was a violent man in the home.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that you really unraveled something there, that there's people that are dealing with past hurts and traumas, and they have protective measures in place for themselves, which was what that was when you wanted to cut him down as quickly as you could and win that argument. That's how you were conditioned throughout your previous years to be on top and be in control. And we have to lay those things down.
Absolutely.
If we want to have a successful relationship with anybody, let alone your spouse.
Yeah, whatever the situation or the problem that a person has, like Wendy just expressed. I mean, in order to fully devote yourself in that aspect to your partner, to your spouse, then you've got to overcome those to where you can fully give yourself to that person, I believe. So.
Yes, and 100%. It's not about denying. It's not about denying hurt. It's just about setting a boundary and saying, I mean, he had never given me a reason. I mean, of course, he made me angry at times, but there's no reason for my response because he was not treating me as I had been treating, what I thought needed those responses. Right. So it's not about denial of hurt as much as it's saying this relationship is not that relationship. I've set boundaries. This person is different. How do I need to react differently? And I think we all could benefit from saying, okay, this person needs this from me. All of this creates the intimacy that we crave.
Right.
All of this. There's an old saying, sex begins in the kitchen for a woman. And a lot of times, all of these things is what will create that intimacy. If you take the time to dissect it and say, this doesn't deserve, this does deserve.
Right. Well, when we are talking about building your sex life, spirit, soul, body, and I'll just quickly touch on this, we will bring all three of those aspects out. A lot of people like to go and just think it's a physical act. Sex is just a physical act, and they stop there. But it's more than that. Like you said, it starts in the kitchen. It's really the characteristics and the character that you bring into your home that builds that foundation for intimacy. And it would be beneficial for everyone. And like you said last episode, for maintenance, we at times need to come back to the table, so to speak, in our relationships and self-reflect and make sure that we're bringing those qualities into our relationship that are life-giving and that we can build a skyscraper on. If we just have those faulty qualities, it's going to be difficult to build something beautiful upon. A few other things I listed out, and I'm sure there are many. Manipulation. that's working behind the scenes, and you're just trying to get something for yourself that you want. In the meantime, you're leaving chaos around you. And patience maybe is difficult to build upon. Pride, being deceitful, sneaky. I don't know if any other words come to your mind, but just some things I put down on paper that you have to really look and say, okay, can I build something good with how I'm living, the choices that I make? And otherwise, we just can't build anything of quality upon it.
And I think people need to realize that all of these speak to the character of the person you're seeking to have a relationship with. I know there are a lot of women who like to think that jealousy means love. And now there's a healthy jealousy. He would hurt somebody over me, and I know I would, but
That's not healthy.
No, that's healthy. For me, it's healthy. But in all seriousness, there are a lot of women, young ladies, who equate jealousy to love when it can be unhealthy lying. I mean, that speaks to the deep character of somebody. This is who you're gonna build your skyscraper with. It's somebody who holds on to these characteristics. That's why we have so many faulty foundations, is because we want to say, oh, it was just a little this, or just and of course there's time for grace, but when you're speaking to the characteristics of somebody, the foundation will not sustain that of a skyscraper.
Not at all. And like you said in your story, we all, by nature, have outhouse qualities.
Yes.
We're born that way. We have them. But like we encourage, we are not meant to do life in our own strength.
Right.
Wendy, if you were to continue living like you were, cutting with your words, you may not be with David today and have your beautiful children and family, extended family, and you chose to make that decision to turn away from that, but you couldn't do that on your own. See, we can't.
It was just natural for me to react. It was, that's what seemed natural to me in my reaction. It definitely
and that was
God.
23-4 years ago that you all had that conversation. That you were
probably 5 years into our marriage. Probably.
And
it was early.
You're still working on these things today, right?
And this is going to sound so elementary, but it was the only way I could think to. Because in your mind's eye, you're sitting there going, I'm not as bad as even the Lord's trying to convince me that I am. I'm not that bad, Lord. I legitimately had a calendar. And anytime I would just blow it with my kids or with David, when I would just blow it unnecessarily, I would stamp a red frowny face on it. Okay, well, then you go back at the end of the month and you're like, red. And there is no green little smiley face anywhere.
That's good, though, Wendy.
Because I'm a visual
learner.
Yeah. So the Lord was
like the workplace where they say 0 days since,
last time last week.
0. No days since Wendy has blown her top. But it is so elementary. But the Lord showed me that I needed to do that, because he was thinking, like I said, I'd been saved for 5 years, and he's going, I'm sitting here telling you you're this bad. Look at it.
But now, if you were to develop that same calendar,
it may be red, green, red.
Right.
No.
So I think the point is,
Yeah.
When we're saying that you have to take your previous experiences and make a conscious effort to exclude them from the foundation of your marriage, it is a work in progress all the time.
It will be a decision you make every day.
I don't have red hair, but I have the same temperament that you have. And I have had to, since Amy and I have been married 30 years and we dated 4 years previous to that, make a conscious effort. It's not that it doesn't rise up, that temperament, that wanting to lash out physically or go on a freaking cussing tirade, right? But you have to wake up every morning and say, I'm not going back to red, 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 red.
Yeah.
And knowing that the impacts that it has on your marriage, your family, and your sex life as well. I don't think I would have a healthy sex life with my wife, nor would she probably be sitting here today if I hadn't made that conscious decision, just like you did, that I'm going to do something about this. And yes, I need God's help. I can't do it alone, but I've got to do my part.
And I wanted to bring that out because Wendy just didn't sit at home asking the Lord to take this away from her. You know, I know people can pray those prayers, but you took your active part, and in that it was your visual stamping, and that created that visual picture that you could see, so you could wrap your brain around and your heart around what needs to be from here. And I like that. I think because when we are, I use the phrase partnering with God, and I just want to briefly explain that because you will hear me say that throughout. It's a whole different attitude of the heart if I choose to do something for God or with Him. If I was going to do something for God, which I've done and we all do, you know, I may take the baton, run with it in my own strength. I am using the giftings and the talents He gave me, but I'm doing it in my own strength. But if I choose to do something with Him, like you did in your story, it's that opening up a conversation and saying, Lord, I need you. This is my problem. I need your help. And you're having that ongoing conversation, but you're doing it in His strength because you couldn't solve this on your own.
No.
You're doing it in His strength and His rest, and you're seeing that life come out because of that. And so that's what I mean by partnering with God, because we are not meant to do life in our own strength.
Right.
But there's another partner in that equation. And it's your spouse.
Sure.
You know, if David hadn't told you what he told you on that day, and then I'm sure there was time to time after that he may have reinforced it here and there. There's been plenty of times that Amy has looked at me and said, Chad, you got to cool it. Stop. Right. And now accountability is huge for any kind of improvement in our lives. And we have a goal that we're trying to reach, whether it's a personal character goal or a fitness goal or an educational. And not having an accountability partner makes things exponentially tough to accomplish those goals. And so we talked about in the last episode, you know, Ezra Canedigo, my rescuer, my helpmate. And so sometimes the way God intervenes and helps us in these areas is through our spouse.
100%.
Well, because he was who he was, because I knew he was a man, once again, that said what he did and did what he said, I knew he meant that conversation. And he has always, which I think is a great attribute, been a guy willing to do the tough things. You know, he's a man who is willing to have the hard, tough conversations, do the hard, tough thing when a lot of people won't. And I knew it would have broke his heart, but I knew he meant every word of it. So I knew I had better straighten up. So I just thank God for using him, for him not being, he was the first person to ever hold me accountable for the words I spoke and the actions.
Instead of competing with you.
Right.
In that
he just wasn't going to do
behavior.
it. Those were his words. He said, I won't do this. I'm not living like this. I'm not doing it. I'm just not going to do it. Something like that.
Well, I also want to kind of bring out another phrase that means a lot to me, even in my relationship with the Lord. And I even had it put on a shirt here. And it's a play on words. He desires my heart. It's a play on words because it's the Lord. He desires our heart. Above all else, He desires our heart. And I know my spouse desires my heart. He desires my heart. And I just want to explain that for a minute, because The truth is that the Lord has my heart probably more in certain areas of my life than other areas. And it's just a continual of, like, let's go back again to your situation, because everybody heard it. You had to open up your heart and say, Lord, I need you to come in and have my heart in this area. Right. And when he has our heart, he can work with us.
Yes.
He has what he needs. When Chad has my heart, he has me. And like I explained, one of my most treasured aspects about him is I have his heart. And so a heart matter is big. When you can get into the heart of releasing these things to the Lord, giving him your heart in whatever you're struggling with, and to have him help you, because you can't do it on your own. Right. There's a certain measure of strength that we have. You know, even if you grew up in a really great home with great morals, there's still a measure of strength, but there's going to come a time where that capacity is not going to be there. The tough times will come, and you won't have the capacity. You will need his strength. And if you can just get to that place where he can have your heart in all areas of your life, it's a work in progress, like we've said. There are areas that he has my heart more than other areas, but I'm working on it because he can do more with me when he has my heart. Yeah. Anybody have anything else they want to say before I keep talking and go on to the next thing?
You used the word twice or maybe 3 times, manipulation. And I know that there are a lot of women out there that feel like manipulation is their only tool to get what they need out of their spouse.
And they may think it's a good tool.
Right. But one of those tools is sex. Right. When you don't have somebody's heart, then I just wrote this down. I don't know if, I'm not a psychologist, but the next thing that you're going to go after is their mind. Right. And so there's something that we're hitting on here with the foundation, having a proper foundation that will support. When you said skyscraper, I'm thinking like for every year that you're together, it's another floor.
That's a great analogy.
That's added on to the top. So we're both in that 30 floors.
That's good.
Range of the building that we've built on our foundations. But living in a state of manipulating or being manipulated is not a healthy relationship. And I think that's why we are spending twice the amount of time on this foundational conversation, because a woman should not have to feel like they have to manipulate their man in order to get their time and their attention. If sex is a tool that a woman feels like she has to use to get her husband's attention and time and their heart given to them, then that is not going to be a proper functional relationship in the area of their sex life. And I just feel like when you said that word the first time, I wrote it down, and then when you went back to it, and then when you just said, we have each other's hearts.
Yes.
That's why you don't have to manipulate me.
That's right.
And that's why I don't have to walk around feeling like I'm being manipulated.
Right. If that's my most treasured aspect about you, I know it's just the Lord treasures that about us when he has our hearts. And he doesn't manipulate, and he always unconditionally stands by, and he's there loving until we can give him those pieces of our hearts. And I just know that if Chad has my heart and I have his, we can build something with that.